Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've taken to the floor today to respond to Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling me a, quote, stone-cold liar during a press conference defending the recent discovery of Democrats' communication with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And I bring with me something that he and many of his fellow Democrats like Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, and Stacey Plaskett, apparently detest. And that is a thing called evidence. Tuesday, I gave a speech on the House floor detailing my House Oversight Committee's good work to date on our Epstein investigation. After all, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrats in Congress, and your allies in the corporate media have been demanding a full release of the Epstein documents for months, including all the documents from the Epstein estate. So without hesitation, I subpoenaed all of the Jeffrey Epstein estate documents because I, as well as my Republican colleagues on the House Oversight Committee, we want to know what really happened, what went on, who was involved in these unspeakable crimes. We want justice for the survivors. That's why we're doing this investigation. So House Oversight obtained over 30,000 pages of documents from the estate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down a tense and highly charged moment on the House floor involving Representative James Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Comer delivered a fiery response after Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries publicly called him a stone-cold liar.
Unlike the Democrats, who only released 10 of those over 30,000 pages of documents, Republicans on the House Oversight Committee released every single document on the website for the American people to see. Democrats and many in the media were anxiously clutching their pearls in anticipation of potential dirt on President Trump. In the end, after full transparency by the Republicans on the Oversight Committee, there was nothing new about the president's former relationship with Epstein, and certainly nothing scandalous. But we did find two sitting Democrat members of Congress had communication with Epstein. First, it's been highly reported and debated about Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett texting during an Oversight Committee hearing with Jeffrey Epstein while trying to conspire with him to hurt or embarrass Donald Trump. But according to Jamie Raskin, that was okay because Mr. Epstein was her constituent. Now, how embarrassing a rationale is that? But the second communication was this email right here, where Hakeem Jeffries' campaign reached out directly to Jeffrey Epstein, soliciting campaign dollars for the, quote, Brooklyn Barack. Now, whereas Jamie Raskin explained Plaskett's communication with Epstein as simply responding to a constituent, Hakeem Jeffries had a very different response when asked about it by the media. He denied its existence. Hakeem Jeffries said, Comer is a stone-cold liar, and then he reverted to calling me names for the second week in a row. So let's read it to make sure. To Jeffrey Epstein, and that's the real Jeffrey Epstein, not Jasmine Crockett's Jeffrey Epstein. This is the real Jeffrey Epstein. From Hakeem Jeffries' campaign. Dear Jeffrey, we are thrilled that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars of the New York delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. Hakeem is committed to electing a Democrat majority in 2014 and is encouraging his friends to participate in a DCCC fundraising dinner with President Obama and Hakeem Jeffries. It ends with a number for Jeffrey Epstein to call to go to the dinner and, quote, get an opportunity to get to know Hakeem better. Here's the evidence. The email speaks for itself. The only stone-cold liar in this debate is Hakeem Jeffries. So, Mr. Minority Leader, take a deep breath, chill out, Stop lying. Stop with the juvenile name calling and own up to the fact that your campaign solicited campaign cash from Jeffrey Epstein. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Ruiz, for 5 minutes.
This exchange comes at a time when both political parties are under intense scrutiny over transparency, credibility, and the ongoing revelations from the Jeffrey Epstein documents. So let's walk through what Comer said, what evidence he presented, and what the broader political implications might be, all from a neutral analytical standpoint. Comer opens with a direct rebuttal to Jeffries, framing the situation as not just a disagreement but an attack on his integrity. He claims the name-calling is happening because he brought forward something he says Democrats detest: evidence. He then summarizes the Oversight Committee's work under his leadership. According to Comer, the committee subpoenaed the full Epstein estate archive, receiving more than 30,000 pages of documents. Comer stresses that Republicans released every page publicly, contrasting it with Democrats releasing only 10 pages in previous years. From a neutral standpoint, this detail is important. Transparency around the Epstein documents has been a long-standing demand from both sides of the aisle, so releasing tens of thousands of pages is a meaningful development, regardless of political affiliation. Comer also highlights what did not happen. Many expected or even hoped these documents will reveal something new or damaging about former President Donald Trump. Comer insists that the full document release contained nothing scandalous or previously unknown regarding Trump. Whether one supports or opposes Trump, this is a significant point because it shifts attention away from old speculation and toward new revelations. And that's where Comer's speech becomes politically explosive. He claims that instead of implicating Trump, the documents show 2 Democratic members of Congress had direct communication with Epstein. This alone is politically sensitive, but the 2 examples he cites add even more intensity. First, he mentions Delegate Stacey Plaskett, who reportedly exchanged messages with Epstein during an oversight hearing. According to Comer, Democrats defended this by saying Epstein was her constituent. As a political analyst, it's important to note that even if Epstein met the technical definition of a constituent, the optics are undeniably awkward, especially given Epstein's criminal history. The second example is the center of the feud between Comer and Jeffries. An email Comer says came from Hakeem Jeffries' campaign, inviting Epstein to a fundraising dinner and referring to Jeffries as Brooklyn's Barack. This is where the conflict escalates. Jeffries publicly denied the email's existence and accused Comer of lying. Comer's response on the House floor reading the email aloud is meant to challenge Jeffries' denial directly. As a neutral observer, this moment is less about the content of the email and more about credibility management. Political campaigns often send mass outreach messages to thousands of individuals, sometimes without knowing every recipient's background. If the email is authentic, it doesn't necessarily indicate a relationship between Jeffries and Epstein, but deny it outright opens a separate political vulnerability: the perception of being dishonest or evasive. Comer ends his remarks by urging Jeffries to chill out, stop the name-calling, and own up to the campaign's contact with Epstein. So what does this moment tell us? Epstein's name still carries enormous political weight. Any new document involving him is immediately explosive, regardless of which party it touches. Releasing documents can clear one person while raising questions about someone else, and neither party can fully control the narrative once the documents become public. Credibility battles are increasingly central to modern political messaging. Whether it's Comer defending his investigations or Jeffries defending his reputation, both sides know that public perception can shift dramatically based on how they respond to moments like this. Ultimately, this incident shows how fragile and volatile political communication has become. A single email from years ago can ignite a national debate not necessarily because of the content, but because of the way leaders respond to it.